Hey everyone! The first chapter of 12 Months just dropped, and I wanted to talk about it. Harry is starting his days off the same way that he does in the short stories Little Things and Fugitive. In fact, this story takes place a week after the events of Little Things, which is pretty quick. Like we already knew, Harry's not really sleeping a lot, and he's slowly healing from the physical wounds from the Battle of Chicago, but most of all, he's grieving Murphy. Someone fact-checked this for me, but this chapter takes place 3 weeks after the Battle of Chicago, and that would put it 1 to 3 weeks before the Law and before Christmas Eve and the Good People, because those latter two stories take place on Christmas Eve, basically right after each other. It's really odd for me to see these short stories take place at the same time as a main series book, but maybe they just didn't make sense being included in the main series book. I think this might be because in the main series book, switching the POV to somebody other than Dresden would just feel weird. I'm vaguely remembering the Iron Druid Chronicles, where in the middle to the end of the series, they started adding different POV characters like Granuaile, and I think that's where I stopped reading the series. I probably need to pick it up again. But I know that that was like a big jump the shark moment for a lot of people. Tell me in the comments if I'm misremembering this, or if you think that I'm completely unbased in my opinion on it. But I definitely think that when you're used to having like one POV character, then the entire story should have that POV character, unless there's something really, really, really important and you can do the POV swap really well, because sometimes that just gets weird. Harry keeps repeating that pain is a fire, and he talks about how it hurts, and for the better or worse, it changes people. This is me paraphrasing a couple of the things that he's said, but it's a callback to everything that Harry's story really is if you look at things thematically. His magic is mostly fire. His life has been as painful as Jim Butcher can possibly make it. And there's an entire book called Changes, which bucks the whole trend of doing 2-word titles where each word has the same number of letters in them. Okay, that's a little bit surface level, but the line "pain is fire" reminds me of another iconic line: "The building was on fire and it wasn't my fault." Harry keeps getting exposed to things that would make most people just give up, and he keeps going. He's in a lot of pain right now, and 12 Months is supposed to be a slowdown book like Ghost Story was. So this hints to me that Harry's character is going to end up changing a lot from what he's been the entire series. If Harry gets a villain arc, this might be his equivalent moment to when Daenerys heard the bells at King's Landing ring telling her that they were surrendering to her, and then she just burns everything to the ground anyways. You know, in that fan fiction that they put on TV. Harry talks about how he has a lot of people living in the castle that he doesn't really know very well, but they're people who had had their homes burned down or people who had been on the streets before and needed protection, and how he's brought a lot of people into the castle who the White Council would probably be clutching their pearls at him bringing them into his home. Harry having this newish home in the first place and allowing a lot of strangers to stay with him probably lowers the power of the threshold, which would explain why the gremlins were able to get in Little Things. I know the castle has its own magical wards and stuff, but this is just one magical protection that he doesn't seem to be utilizing very well because it's the right thing to do to help people in need. When Molly comes into Harry's room to talk to him, he acknowledges in his head that when she sits down on the bed beside him, there's some tension that he just ignores. I think that this is the first time that he's really admitted to himself that he might have feelings for Molly, or that there might be something there or something weird. You know, feelings are weird sometimes. You know, besides when his ego was trying to talk to him in Skin Game and be like, hey, you should get with Molly, and he was like, no. Molly says that she feels when Harry dreams and he hasn't been doing it a lot lately, and that's sort of how she knows that he's not okay. And I know in Skin Game there was a part where she enters one of Harry's dreams, sort of when he's in the car around a bunch of other Harrys and Mollys in cars. I think that that just shows that there's something more to this part and that this is sort of a hint for what's going to come later. And the way she can do this is probably a mix between her magical talent and her really hyped up Winter Lady powers. Harry talks about how power makes you more of what you already are, and that Molly has been more disciplined than she was before. This got me thinking about how in Grave Peril, Lee tried to bargain with Michael to get his firstborn daughter in exchange for giving him Amarachius back. Then Molly gets kidnapped by phobophages and proven guilty, and she's taken back to Arc de Store, which is the center of the Winter Court. And then Mab winks at Harry while pretending to be a statue in the courtyard as Harry and Charity and company are all trying to save Molly. As his apprentice, and with the doom of Damocles over his head for it, it's literally Harry's life on the line to train Molly into not going warlock again, and teaching her to be a responsible and respectable wizard. This involves extensive training and discipline to make her into someone who just might be able to responsibly handle, say, a fairy queen mantle in the future. Yeah, I'm going like tinfoil hat theory over here, but I kind of think that Molly joining at least one of the fairy courts might have been something that was planted a long time ago. I think that in the end of Cold Days, there was this discussion with Mab about how she thought that Molly might be a better fit for Summer, but she was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. Or was she? And she ended up taking Sarissa's place as Mabe's replacement. Tell me in the comments down below if you think that this is a reasonable theory or if you think that I'm just completely off base. Harry makes a joke about how his head is on Molly's shoulders, and it feels more like Harry accidentally pointing out that Molly's taken responsibility for taking care of him in his grief from losing Murphy and the other people that he lost in Battleground. Molly explained how she did end up going dark after Harry's end in changes with the whole rag lady thing. She reminds Harry that she was in a really dark place then, like he is now, and that she thought that if she got caught and had to suffer the consequences for her actions, that she would have deserved it. But this kind of leads into like Winter's ulterior motive, because Harry has to get up today and go on a date with Laura, and Laura offered to feed off of him and to take the pain away. And she can probably do that where she consumes him totally. If he is in this whole I'm sad, I'm terrible, I'm trash feeling, then he might just let her consume him, and Mab would lose her night, Laura would get super powerful, have less reason to play nice with other people, and that could just create a lot of really bad things. Plus Harry's starborn, so that means that he's really their last hope. Also, Molly has to plan the wedding and courtship stuff for Harry and Laura, so it's literally like on her shoulders are her responsibility to make sure that this works out. We learn that the lawyers who put together the agreement for this date also made it so that Laura isn't supposed to use her vampire skills on Harry. Laura is very experienced and good at what she does, and so there's probably a way that she can use some sort of interest without using her vampire powers to get Harry interested in her and sort of like skirt the rules while also following them to the letter, and therefore Winter can't do anything about it. And with Harry not really sleeping that much, he's in a very vulnerable position going into this first date. So those are my thoughts on the first chapter. I'm really excited for the book to come out at the end of January. Really want to get back to making videos and just like being happy and hanging out with you guys, because it makes things a lot better. You know, it's fun to nerd out with people. Hope everyone's having a good holiday. Talk to me in the comments, and hopefully I'll see you soon. Bye. Some quick bonus content. I wanted to share with y'all my signed copy of Briefcases by Jim Butcher. I got this as sort of an impulse purchase at a Second and Charles used bookshop, and it made me very happy to find it. This was a couple years ago, and I still won't let my husband take it on trips because it's a nice hardback book, and even though it's not in perfect condition anymore because I've read it and stuff, I am still really, really happy that I have it. So ignore the tabs here. If you look on this page, you see Jim Butcher's signature. It's the same signature that I have on some other books, but I thought that this was really cool because it makes me happy, and I figured it would make y'all happy too.